Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to You've Championed Yourself. Who are you? I'm your host, Chris Ferguson, and it's always been a dream of mine to showcase people who've taken their dreams, their ideas, and then turned it into reality. As they reach beyond their personal struggles, their pains and traumas, so many give up and lose hope. There's just a few in the world amongst people that stay the course, walk through their obstacles and their challenges, not knowing where it's going to take them. They just trust. They trust themselves enough to not give up, to follow through in their personal life, their career, and in relationships. They are what I call champions. And tonight, my guest is Brittany Stevens. She's an amazing lady. She is all about kids. She's all about education. She's all about the things that really, really matter in this world is our future, and that is children. So I'd like to bring Brittany in and introduce her to everybody. Give me just a second here, and there she is. Thank you
Hey.
so much, Brittany, for coming in.
You're welcome, Chris. Thank you for having me.
I do love that your passion and your purpose is children. I do love
Yes.
that. Working in an alternative high school for 15 years, I understand what educators go through to try to get kids to want to learn.
Yes. That's
And
amazing, Chris.
so you are my hero of the day. I just want to tell you that because
Oh,
you
thanks.
do this as a profession each and every day. So what made you decide to do this? What was the process?
Chris, that's that's a great question because honestly, teaching was not even on my radar. I had it all mapped out. I was going to medical school. I was going to be a doctor, and I knew the sky was the limit because my parents instilled that within me. But I just kept feeling this call, this pull, I towards just mentoring and working with young children. I remember being in college, and I've always been involved in music and building youth music programs. That's where it all began. And I found myself, I was more focused on children and what was going on at home. And did they know how to read? Could they, I'm like, baby, do you have basic math skills? I was more focused on that than I was teaching them music. And that's what I realized. I was like, you know what, this is in my heart. So I just stepped out there, and I've been going ever since. So it has been amazing. I am blessed to be able to work with young children and their parents every day, and it really is a blessing.
Well, knowing that I have worked in the school system and how in the past they've always just promoted up, regardless if they could read and write, just to get them out of the system to show
Yeah.
the numbers. And I'm wondering, what effects have you had in your personal experience of helping some of these kids gain their future, gain their knowledge, and gain and empower them to step out, step up, and create something for themselves?
Yes. Well, I'm so glad you asked that, Chris. As have observed my students along these 10 plus years, I noticed that it wasn't necessarily that they didn't understand the material, but it was that they didn't have the confidence. And as I'm sure as if they have any kind of gaps in their learning, it makes going to the next level that much more difficult because it's in their mind. They're like, oh, I'm bad at this. I'm bad at math. I'm bad at reading. So I'm not even going to really try because I know I'm going to fail. So why try if I'm going to fail? And I noticed that was one of the biggest factors. But it's been amazing when I've been able to give them the tools and the resources and the words to express how they're feeling and help to change their mindset to realize, hey, mistakes are not bad. Mistakes are awesome. that means you're learning something. That means you're growing, you're stretching your brain. And they're looking at me like, wait, that's a good thing? I'm like, yes. If you're not making mistakes, that means you're not stepping out. You're not trying new things. You're not growing. And, you don't want to just settle there because you'll be there for the rest of your life. I'm like, honey, we don't want you to stay there. Come on, let's get out that boat. Let's do this. You're gonna trip, you're gonna fall along the way, but I'm gonna pick you back up. And Miss Brittany is gonna make some mistakes along the way, but you're gonna pick me back up. And we're gonna hold each other accountable, and we're gonna do this thing. So that has been a major thing that we have focused on. We've seen such great results, focusing on the confidence, focusing on their mindset first, shifting that. And then the learning just happens automatically. They set their own goals. They take control of their learning. And hey, once they have that, they are out of here. So that's been very exciting.
Yeah, I have seen where one teacher could make a huge difference in a child's life. One person, somebody that
Oh,
supported
yes.
them, somebody that was there to guide them, that they could trust to go to at school, and they would get them in touch what they needed to do. But I lived the scenario you spoke of in
Yeah.
that when I was in middle school, I was doing algebra 1 and 2 in 7th and 8th grade. When I went to high school, they didn't have room for me in geometry or trigonometry or calculus.
Hmm.
So they put me in a general math class.
Hmm.
I learned to hate math to this day. It is. I actually was resonating with that so much, but there's a lot of kids like me in the day, even now, that it's that one teacher that can connect with you to help empower them. And so, what are some of the ways that you empower your students to see the difference of what they're seeing on the streets and how it can be in real life?
Well, just by simply talking with them, getting to know them, learning about what they enjoy doing, because there are things that they're doing in their everyday lives, like playing video games and going outside to play. And with the technology now, oh man, they can run circles around me. you know, oh, Miss Brittany, let me show you how to do this. Oh my goodness. I'm like, whoa. Do you know what you're applying in order to do this? Like how many the strategy you had to map out and the math you're using to plan this, and they're like, oh, I didn't know I was doing that. I'm like, yes, you're brilliant. You're brilliant. I'm like, take hold of that. Your brilliance may not look like what the world, what I say, the world portrays it to look like.
Mhm.
But I'm like, you have special gifts. You have something special to share with the world. And you take those things, we're going to break them down. Let's do what you love to do, incorporate this curriculum, incorporate these skills with it, and let's change the world. It just changes everything. When they can relate to it, when they can take on a project, and we are incorporating math, reading, writing, English, science, but it's something that they're passionate about. They will take the learning to another level. I'm trying to hit these standards, and they're all over here. I'm like, whoa, okay, let's do it, But it's so exciting to see them excited about learning and applying what they've learned. After all, isn't that what we want them to do? Learn it,
Absolutely,
apply
absolutely.
it.
I think if people would have more open minds and understanding, life is tough enough in their neighborhoods. And I worked in an alternative high school.
Yes.
It was not a community high school. There was no camaraderie. There was nothing like that. And I was also in charge of security for the high school as a security specialist. So I
Yeah.
was the one that really had to get into it. And I found with the kids, and I guess my question is when you have these kids that are I never told any of them my background. They never knew that I felt like they did in many aspects as a throwaway kid.
Mm,
And so when you have those dynamics going on in the homes, and it's not that their parents don't care, it's just that they're working 2, 3 jobs. They're being pulled to their limits, and
exactly.
just to make ends meet.
They're doing the best that they can with what
Yes,
they have.
absolutely. But then the kids pull a struggle, they pull a guilt. Then they go out, start doing things because mom's not home. There's
Yeah.
grandma's sleeping. It kind of opens up this catch 22. So I guess my question is where do you see the educational system with what you're doing now going in the future?
Oh, wow. That is a profound question. Um, you know, I believe every child needs at least that one person that's in their corner that can relate to them and get on their level to push them and hold them accountable. And I feel like with virtual education, we're getting to that point. Technology is getting better with catching when they're weak in an area and immediately remediating that area and helping them to catch up. But I think it's also great that we're able to touch our children, even if we're not physically there with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been amazing because let's face it, our parents are working 2 and 3 jobs. And now many of our kids, thankfully, they at least have a computer and Wi-Fi, and that's a whole nother story that it had to we had to get to a pandemic for our kids to have something that they need to be proficient in order to survive. In at least in America, I know for sure. You go to any job, you need to be able to type. You need to know how to use Word and Excel. You need to be proficient with Google. And if you don't have a computer at home, how can you even begin to master these skills? But anyways, now that they have this access, we are able to connect with them even when we're far away. Mm-hmm. And even when mom is at home, even when dad is working, even when grandma is working with multiple children, to know that we can connect with them is amazing. And I think that technology is taking over. I don't think the traditional school is going to look the way it has looked in the past, especially not after this year. And of course, there are pros and cons to everything, but I see what we're doing, this one-on-one, and this collaboration with parents and this collaboration with teachers is going to take off. This is the future.
I happen to agree with you. I know when COVID started, it was really, it was like pulling teeth to get kids to do what they needed to do. And they wouldn't show up when they needed to show up with their teachers, on a Zoom call or anything else. And
Yeah.
then this year, the game changed because virtual learning became more accustomed to the times, and they figured it out over the summer. The educational departments figured it out. But the thing is the one thing that I saw in my state was there was a lot of kids that weren't still doing it, but nobody was holding them accountable. So there was that one piece there. So when the kids were being told, well, if you don't do your work, you're not progressing. You're not progressing. This is because we're virtual. You want to stay at home and play on YouTube or games or whatever. You have assignments to do. If you don't show up, this is how you're going to be held accountable. And all of a sudden, kids are going, "What? You mean you're not going to let me slide through like you did last year?" If you had good grades at the third term, they promoted you up because you had learned enough about your subject topic to be able to progress through. And then all of a sudden this year was just like it was earth shattering for the kids.
Yeah, it was a lot for them to take on because they weren't used to being independent. learners. It's like I get up in the morning because my mama tells me to get up, and I get on the bus and I go to school, or I walk to school, and I'm in the classroom. I'm sitting there, so I kind of have to somewhat pay attention. But then now, oh, I have the option of not coming, then of course, I just want to sit and play video games. But I think what can be a game changer is this right here, this phone. And if they have the technology, guess what? I can call you, you can see my face, and I can say, hey, good morning. What's going on? You know, they're like,
awake?
oh, I mean, you call me? You actually missed me? Yes, I missed you. So what time can I expect you to be there? You know, just that love, that knowing that somebody cares, somebody sees you, they miss you when you're not there. That right there alone will motivate anybody. I'm like, hey, you miss me? Oh, I'm important to this class.
You took the time to notice, and with a
Yes.
lot of words, it is that. But one of the things is, as we go forward, and I see virtual learning catching up with kids, because beforehand it wasn't for the public education schools, but you had private schools that had all this technology and had all of this, but people can't afford it
because they had the money.
Yes. And so I saw this virtual learning as a way, if the kids would understand it, you're getting a virtual learning, and now you have no more excuses. But now if you're going to step up to the plate, show me. I will guide you. I will work with you, but step up.
Yeah.
And a lot of people did. A lot of kids did. You're going to have a few that's not going to, just because they're putzes. You know, that's just being a kid. I mean, I have so much patience for kids.
They're kids.
They're learning. They're learning in life.
Yeah. They want to play. I mean, I'm an adult. I want to play too. I mean, so then I ask our teachers, I ask myself, so why not let them play? They learn through play.
They do.
It's not like this has been a big change. Now all of a sudden they can just learn by sitting at a desk and studiously taking notes. No, let them get out there. Let them get their hands dirty. They want to go outside and dig in the dirt. Let's go dig. And we're gonna learn a whole lot about everything, about the world around them. So make it relevant, make it fun.
Absolutely. And a lot of kids, there's so much seriousness in their real lives that this is an escape. And as you get higher up in the educational system, I was at a high school, the kids just want their friends. And that social interaction is so paramount, because they work together. They have a lot of, if they can't figure out, they'll go, hey, on the phone. What did you do with that? What did you do with that? Hey, help me out. I don't understand it, And so the thing is, now they're hooking up on Zoom. They're talking. They're comparing notes, and if they don't know, or they called me up until 8, 9 o'clock at night last year about learning, asking questions. I actually had a kid who called me during a family emergency, and I had to call law enforcement for him. Because it was a crazy situation. A family member was trying to burn down the house with them in it. So it was crazy.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, there's all kinds of chaos and drama, but he felt safe enough to call me and said, what can help me? And even at 8 o'clock at night, when you help them, that child's going to come to you forever.
And that's relationship. The relationship comes first. They don't care what you're saying or what you're trying to teach them if they don't know that you care. Show me you care.
They can see through the facades. I promise you.
I truly believe children have the best discernment. They can smell when something's not right. And that's why many of them have this guard. And listen, I'm like, hey, I'm not mad at you. I wouldn't trust me either. I don't know you. But when you give them the opportunity to learn and grow and trust, it breaks down every barrier, and it makes for such a much richer learning experience for everybody involved. And I tell my students, I'm like, listen, I'm so glad that you learned a lot in my class, but I promise you, I probably learned way more than you did because they teach me so much.
Well, they have no filters. Let's just put that out there. They have no filters.
They're gonna sell it like
They
it
don't
is.
care about politically correct,
Nope.
and they don't have a problem with color. Adults do.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yes.
when they're at school, 9 times out of 10, everything I've ever seen in my life in 21 years of dealing with children, from my perspective, it was the adults that had the agendas, that had the bias and had the issues, and not the children. And the children would have to revert back and forth at school. He could be a buddy with anybody on the football team, no matter what their color, what their position is,
Mm-hmm.
who they are, what money they have. They were kids,
Yep.
and they would compete against each other. And so I just think that as adults, we could learn so much from children
Oh,
if
yes.
we just listen.
Just listen. Uh, Children learn what they first learn through observation.
Yes.
They mimic what we do. They say what we say. They walk how we walk. I remember seeing, I think there was some kind of video, but this little girl was mimicking her grandmother and walking, walking with the little limp, and it was the cutest thing. But that's what they do. That's how they learn. They learn through example.
Yes.
So we have to be willing to set a good example by learning how to be a good listener,
Yes.
by learning how to take constructive criticism,
Yes.
and learning how to move beyond these barriers and things that have been ingrained in our minds from past generations, and embrace what's new and what's better, and love and just learn how to get in their world, because they are our future.
I agree. They're absolutely our future. And
Yeah.
and I've always, I was a correctional officer in a men's prison many, many years ago. And we pay more to house an inmate than we pay to educate an individual child. I did the money. And I think I'm not saying we need to pay less for the inmates, because they've committed crimes, and whatever their criminal issues are, they have to deal with that. But again, children don't vote, their parents do. So children's opinions don't matter, or their care doesn't matter. And so trying to, as a humanitarian that I am,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see color. I don't see economics. I don't see demographics. I see human beings that need support, need guidance, and just understanding. Because as we know, as pagers came along, I was so grateful. I promise you, Brittany, I was so grateful phones were not out when my children were young. I promise you. I had count my blessings many times just for that alone.
I know.
I mean, but think about it. Think of the things that we did as kids. I'm grateful wasn't on video. I'd have gotten a lot more trouble than I did. So I'm just saying. I mean, I'm really real. You're talking to a kid that was put in an orphanage at 8, ran away from the orphanage at 15, lived on the streets for a year and a half. I'm one of those street kids. I'm that little 8-year-old that hated everybody.
Yeah.
So now you're going to tell me I have to read and write. I'm probably that kid that caused that. If 2 people fight, both go home. Whoever started doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I never started anything, but I never tolerated anything.
Mm-hmm.
When it came up to garbage and drama. So, but the fact is I see a lot of me and a lot of kids in this world at schools, and they're frustrated and they want to be the best. And their only example is what their demographics are. And so they're getting caught up in just to survive. It's not because they want to, it's just to survive.
It's just their reality.
Yes.
And
I don't know how we can take this education system, the education A lot of parents blame the teachers, and I'm adamantly against this because you as a teacher can only educate them so much. You only have them 6.5, 7 hours a day.
And how many are in one classroom?
There's usually 30 to 35 and it's overloaded.
You
And
know,
absolutely. But the fact is it has to be um, teamwork. It has to be cohesive.
yes, yes,
Parents have to want to care what their kids get in their grades. They have to care.
yes.
Well, I don't know if you know, but I used to live in South Florida, and it was not against the law to skip school.
Mm,
Most
wow.
states they have a truancy program, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
It wasn't this way in South Florida back in the 90s. And our crime rate with juveniles skipping school with a buddy, because nobody likes to skip alone.
Of course, they got to take somebody with them.
Let's be real. Nobody likes to skip alone, but they go hang out at their houses and then they get bored and then they want to start searching the neighborhoods knowing nobody's home because everybody's
Right.
working through school, burglaries, robberies, things like this, shoplifting at the mall. And
Mm-hmm.
so I and a group of 3 other women created this understanding that we pulled people together to, one, change the laws in the state of Florida for truancy. Then we pulled teachers, mental health, DCF, law enforcement, state's attorney's office, and the school board to pull together and say, hey, listen, we've all got to work together. And it turned out to be called the juvenile intake facility. So if you were skipping, they would take you there, which would free up the officer to put him back or her back on the streets to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
And then the parent had 1 hour to come get their child.
Wow.
Because where this place was located, it was an hour from all 4 corners.
Mm-hmm.
Well, several parents didn't want to come, and that was part of the problem. They didn't want to leave work because they knew they had to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were called and said, either you come get your child or we're bringing your child to your job. Yes.
So how did that go, Chris?
Well, you know what? It worked out. There was like a couple people, there's always going to be a couple people. Well, they ain't going to do that. They ain't going to do that.
Right. Trying to test the system.
Yes, absolutely. So after about 25 parents having their children brought to their job in handcuffs, because you can't put them in the backseat unrestrained because you don't know what they're going to do. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's departmental policy. The parents were mortified. It dropped. It was minimal to none after that.
Wow.
Then the biggest thing is our government didn't want to fund it anymore because it was for kids.
Mm.
And so, but in the first 2 years that it was going, daytime crime dropped 22%. Those numbers alone should tell you.
Look at those stats.
Because
it's
you're
working.
now because you're making parents accountable for their children, and the parents are not they'll bust a hiney on anybody, bust a hiney to get their kids to school and say, don't ever have this. It's going to cost me my job, and then we don't have a home to live in.
Right.
So the fact is that, it works, but we have to take care of our children.
Yes. Oh, they're so precious, Chris.
Are. But if we want to compete with the world and the mathematics, we have kids, and I love it. I get them across my feed on Facebook where a 13-year-old kid is going to Harvard University to get his PhD at 13. I love that. It's like, I don't know where you came from, but can you sprinkle this stuff everywhere and let's just get it to everybody all across the country so that we can get every 13-year-old to Harvard University. Absolutely. Let's just spread this knowledge around so that everybody has an opportunity. Everybody.
Yeah. And all of our children are going to take different paths. But equipping them and exposing them to like the world of entrepreneurship and coding and just different things that they can do right now. It's like, honey, listen, you don't have to go steal those shoes because you want some shoes. You have skills right here.
Mm-hmm.
You can sew, you can draw. Honey, take your stuff and let's sell it. Let's get you a business license. Let's set up shop. Come do this the right way, gain these important skills, and you can start making your own money right now. And I'm
Oh
like, can
yeah.
you imagine, starting something like that at 10, where they're going to be at 20, where they're going to be at 30?
But for the kids that don't want to go to college, still make available vocational schools. There are
Yes,
electricians making six figures.
exactly. And I know for some reason there's been this stigma around vocational schools. It's like, no, I want my child to go to a 4 year. But let me tell you something, Chris. If I was a child, a student, and I knew my parents did not have money to send me to college, I would go right there. Like right now in the state of Arkansas, students can. There's a grant where if students focus on a particular area, they will pay for that 2 year degree. No, no debt, and they will pair you with a mentor
Mm-hmm.
to connect with you and guide you and help you to get employment. And guess what? Okay, so say you're an HVAC technician or electrician. So you work, and then if you want to go back to a 4 year university, pay your own way. Forget
Exactly.
all that
Exactly.
debt.
We have the same thing here in Tennessee. We have where every kid gets a free 2 year degree. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you want to be a hairstylist, that still applies. If you want to be
Wow.
a car mechanic, it still applies. So you get 2 years of free college, but you have to get the grades. You have to
Yeah.
go to school. You can't, just slough it off and expect it to be paid. But
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have had that. I didn't get my bachelor's degree
Mm.
until my kids were grown and we could afford to pay for me to go to college. And I paid
Right.
every penny on my own. There was that I took out a
It's
couple student loans. I mean,
it's
I
an
did what I
investment.
had to do, but I
Yeah.
never in my day ever thought I would be a college graduate. I'm one of 11, Brittany, and there's only two in my family that have got college degrees.
Wow. Chris,
There's
that
quite a
speaks
few. I mean,
volumes.
I'm that statistic because
Yeah.
out of 11 kids, there's only probably about six of us that have a high school diploma or GED out of 11.
Wow.
So the thing is I know the demographics. I know the negative side of life. And the one thing that I just always resonated with is this is not for me. And if you can show a kid that's in dilemmas or has demographic issues or home issues or whatever, you can come to school. And I preach this is that school can make you go anywhere you want to go once you hit
Mm.
18.
It helps to open the doors. And
Yes.
all you have to do is walk through them. Have
Yeah.
the confidence and the boldness to just step through them. It's like they are looking for people to hire. People that have integrity, that have character. And and sometimes they don't even have to have the degree. It's like, okay, if you can give me character, integrity, and you're a hard worker, hon, I
Mhm.
can I can train you. Forget the degree. I'll
Right.
pay for you to get the degree.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
those
And
things are priceless.
yes. But we have to get kids to want to do that. And I think
Yeah.
it has to be with, everybody gets to a job wherever they can get a job. Mostly long-term employment at most places is rare now because
Yeah.
people, they don't get the benefits they used to get. They don't get, or I don't want to even say treated right, but the school board districts have a different understanding of what they want to do instead of putting a lot of them do. I'm not saying all, I'm just saying a lot.
Yeah.
They don't, it's like if I'm a school board leader and I don't empower you to do better by doing it in salaries, by doing it in benefits, by you wanting to give your time to empower these children at like an after school program,
Yeah.
it
To
is a
just
trickle down effect. And so when you look up, I know it's all about money. And I don't know of anybody that wouldn't pay more money for children. So,
you know, and with teachers, and I can say this because I worked in the public school systems for many years, and You want to do so much, but you're so limited. And listen, it takes money to
Mhm.
do anything. You
Sure.
can give your time and you can give your effort, but at the end of the day, you
Mhm.
need the money. I mean, I had students that didn't have a washer and dryer.
Mhm.
They came to school in the same clothes every day.
But
They
see,
were self-conscious in how they smelled. They didn't have basic necessities,
mhm.
deodorant. How about a toothbrush and toothpaste? They didn't know where they were going to be living
Mhm.
when they finished school. They left out at 3 o'clock, and I find out, I'm like, we've been calling, hey mom, we've been calling you, and parents like, listen, we're living out of our car.
Mhm.
How can I expect my student to care about what 1 plus 1 is
Yeah.
if they don't even have the basic necessities? And so, of course, what do? We dig in our pockets and we try to make it happen. But there's only so much we can do when we're stretched like that. I believe that there are more good teachers than there are bad apples.
Sure.
Um, but the stress that comes with it, um, you're trying to save everybody, and in doing that, you end up drowning yourself.
Mhm.
It's We have to make difficult decisions, and my teacher friends are making difficult decisions every day. But I do believe that yes, money, it's just needed. We need more of it.
Well, I think they need to evaluate things and prioritize better than what they do.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind helping out anybody, but when we're sending trillions and trillions and trillions of taxpayers' dollars out to other countries, and I'm not dissing anybody here, but let's take care of our own first. It's all about self-care. When we get our children to the point that they can be the leaders of the planet,
Yeah.
where we would most teachers esteem to push their children to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
then we can have an equal playing field with other countries in mathematics, in sciences, in any subject, the Englishes, the arts. But I wanted to, the one thing that when you were talking about having homeless kids, I have to, it just wells my heart and almost brings me to tears, is in my 21 years, I had, I broke the rules. I broke the rules. I had 4 girls who were living homeless because their parents were tricking them out on the streets of Fort
Mm,
Myers.
have mercy.
They were
Mm,
sleeping under bridges and they were kind of
wow.
hanging out together. And one of their friends who had a home came to me and said, Chris, Fergie, they called me Fergie because it was
Mhm.
short for Ferguson. But they said, these girls are living on the streets. And I said, get me their names. So I went to their counselors and I said, listen, I don't give a what grade they're in. I want them to have first period PE. And in first period PE, I will come. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if there's a fight. I don't care, whatever. I'm coming to get their clothes. And I'm going to use a football machine, washing machine and dryer to wash their clothes and dry them. They can go then, and I'll get them to the cafeteria to get breakfast because they usually came late because they were
Yeah.
walking to school, and
Mm-hmm.
get them fed. And then
Yeah.
their clothes would be washed and in their gym lockers when they got done with PE. So they might be the same clothes, or I would go to Goodwill and buy
Mm-hmm.
clothes, just buy clothes, kids' clothes. It didn't matter the size because somebody
Yeah.
was thin enough or big enough to fit all
Yep.
of it. And I would just give it to them
There you
and they
go.
would just put it in their book bags. But I mean, technically, was I supposed to do that? No. But I got a girl down to the health department when she was sick. I didn't take her. I gave her the money to take a bus. She got back and she had a prescription. So myself and the 2 SROs on the campus went and took her over to the pharmacy
To get it filled.
to get it filled and pay for it. So she would have, because she didn't have medical, but she was sick as a dog. But the
Mm.
thing is there's times that you have to take matters in your own hand. You have to care. And I absolutely agree with you. Teachers give and give and give from their hearts.
Yeah. And they
And
they really do care.
they do. They really do. And kids know that. That's why these kids would rather come to school, because that might be the only food they get. That might be
Yep.
the only time that somebody listens to them, talks to them, interacts with them, and doesn't want anything from them other than try to teach them how to add and subtract and divide. And all four of those girls graduated. And
Wow.
I was just, it just wells my heart that people were willing to work with me to do this for these kids, knowing their circumstances. Because the thing is people would call DCF and they'd be put in foster home, they'd run away, and
Yeah.
it becomes this massive chaos of ring. But if you
That
show up at
cycle.
school, if you're a student of this school, I'm going to make sure you're clean. I'm going to make sure you're fed, and I'm going to make sure that you're safe the entire day you're there.
And those right there, basic needs.
And it's unfortunately, it is just that.
Basic needs. But it takes a village. And you know,
More
and
than a
honestly,
village. It takes people. It takes more than a village.
mm,
It takes people to understand, no matter what the hustle is, no matter what your game is, whatever you're trying to vie in life, if you have children, do not, the biggest thing I was always thought of is, I don't want my children to know what I went through. I don't want
mm,
my children to know what I went through. And so I was working in a couple jobs. I was single at one time with children. And so the fact is I did what I had to do, but I made sure my child was safe. I made sure my
yes.
child was taken care of. I made sure, I was making less than minimum wage because this was back in the 80s,
Hmm.
so it really sucked. And as a female working in the industry, that's a whole nother story back in the day.
I
Now,
know.
what we need now is a lot more men to come into the industry, in my opinion, so that these boys have role models. Because
Yes.
I have seen many boys change their core, their beliefs. No matter what was going at home, they could go to that teacher, and that teacher would just level it with them.
Hmm.
So
Just lay it
whoever
out.
hears this, if you're in education and you're a male, please, 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 please consider it, because the youth of our country really need good, solid role models.
Yes. And a teacher can make the difference in a positive or negative way. I know me personally, I've had several teachers that have made such a positive impact on my life, and they are part of the reason why I am where I am right today. But then I've had those teachers that didn't really care much, and I knew
Those
it.
were probably the ones I had to escort out the back stairs to the police. Okay, I'm just saying, I had to do that. I had to do that. I'm just telling you, in 21 years,
Oh
I had to do it.
man.
I had to defend a teacher from false accusations of inappropriate touching.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
The
Mm,
school I was in, I had to protect the boys from girls. They were making
mm,
false reports of rape because the boys
mm.
didn't want to be their girlfriend, though they'll go up and do it in the stairwell because the
Yeah.
girlfriend, kind of thing. And then when they had to meet the police because you file a false police report, that's a felony. So it's
Mm,
like, guys, let's talk about this. I don't know that
yeah.
I don't know that we are educating our kids enough at a young enough age, because I tell parents all the time, your child at home is not the same kid I have at school.
It can be totally different. And it's funny because I know as I'm a parent as well, and we're always like, no, my child wouldn't say that. My child wouldn't do that. But it's a different environment,
They're with
and
their friends.
you're gonna have some surprises. And before we make any rash decisions, I would say just sit down, let's talk with your child, and let's see what really happened.
I delivered a
Um,
baby of a 14-year-old girl on school campus.
wow.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow.
So, and I'm like, whoever did this to you should be in jail. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Mm.
She's screaming. She goes, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I said, sweetheart, welcome to motherhood. You're in delivery. She had no idea. She had no idea. I'm not even sure she
Oh,
had no idea
Chris.
prior to this. I didn't know her. I mean, I didn't see her. She didn't get in trouble. But when she
Yeah.
came down the stairs screaming, crying, and I says, oh my. And she goes, I don't know what's going on with me. I said, I think I do. Welcome to motherhood.
Whew.
I had to deliver the baby in the nurse's office And paramedics showed up 2 minutes later. So it was like,
Mm,
I
mm.
mean, these are the kind of things that are going on.
This is real life.
It is, but these are why we have to protect our children. And nowadays, human trafficking is horrible in schools. Their friends are
Hmm.
setting them up, triggering them. So, hey, come with me, and then they're gone and disappear.
Yeah.
And I don't wish that
Yeah.
on any parent. So, Brittany, I love that we are having this conversation about real life in kids. And I love that we're having this conversation about real life in parents.
Yes.
You cannot be held accountable. But now let's flip the switch. Let's talk about what you do in your daily life.
Yes. Well, Chris, I am a human expansion specialist. My team and I empower you and your children to expand your thinking and thrive in life through educational coaching, confidence building, and supportive community. So that is what we do in a nutshell. We're all about empowering, we're serious about empowering not only the student, but the parent as well. Because I can't tell you how many times I've heard a parent say, I'm not a school person. I'm not a math person. I know I can't do this. Oh, when the pandemic hit, I can't teach your child what you. But it's been amazing, empowering them and showing them that they can do this. Like, this is your child. The learning starts at home.
Right.
What I do is just to supplement what you do at home, because whether we know it or not, or whether we realize it or not, they are gleaning from us. They are soaking it all in. The things we do, the things we say, our attitudes towards learning. Um, they're looking to see how confident we are in ourselves and our abilities, how we're using our gifts to help the world. And if they see us, if they see that our parents are willing to step out of their comfort zone, then they're more willing to step out of their comfort zone. And they're like, okay, I get this. So we help to provide parents with training, with tools, and just that support so that they can be the best parent, the best teacher that they can be in their home. And then we come back through and also help to support the student. So with learning support, tutoring, we help to, I say we take our children from kindergarten all the way through to college. So we help to fill those gaps, empower them, build their confidence, and we help them to get these scholarships, learn more about what they're good at, what they're passionate about, figure out what they want to do, how they want to use their gifts to help the world. And then we follow back up with them, mentoring them or pairing them up with a mentor, because they need the accountability. We all do.
Yeah.
So yes, that's pretty much what we do.
I love that. That is one of the reasons why I asked you if you would come in and allow me to interview you, because I know your passion for children is as strong as mine.
Yes.
And when you truly care, you kind of like magnet towards each other and
Hmm.
bring it together. But as you're in Arkansas,
Yes.
here's my question, can you mentor and do the virtual in other states?
Yes, we actually have clients all over the U.S. So there is no boundary. We connect through our Zoom, open these computers, and we are on it. We have these phones, we have our computers. So I tell my students, now listen, when I call you, that's one requirement. You have to answer me. When I text you, you have to answer me back. They're like, okay, Miss Brittany, okay. But it really helps. They know that I care about them, and they aren't just one in a number. They are a person, they are an individual, they have a purpose, they have a destiny, they matter, and they have something that the world needs. So, no, we can't slack, we can't quit. we have to keep pushing, push through the struggles, push through the pain, push through the challenges, because there is something that we have that the world needs.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. What are some of the ways people can get a hold of you or you to sign up their children? Do you have different platforms that they can come and see what you do? What would
Yes, it's a
those?
great question, Chris. Anyone who wants to learn more about me, learn more, connect with me on my personal site. It's Britt360.com, and that's just BRITT360.com. And you can connect with us on any of our social medias. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, Instagram. You know, my students have me on all these different
Haven't gone to TikTok yet,
platforms.
have you?
Yeah, they're pushing me like, come on, Miss Brittany, you got to jump on TikTok now. I'm like,
I refuse.
okay,
I
y'all.
refuse. I don't know where it's going. I'm just cautionary measures, not sure. So I get no TikTok. I had a kid tell me last year, just this past couple months, he goes, I had 60,000 views on my TikTok. I'm quitting high school. I'm important. I said, I looked at him and I said,
Oh man.
so how much money did you get out of those 60,000 views?
I know. And that's where the education comes in. Let me teach you a little bit about entrepreneurship and the legal side of things, and how to brand yourself and make sure you're getting money for all of those likes and views. Let's talk about that. That's
Exactly.
something they would be interested in.
So it was hysterical. I just had to put in there and say, oh, so, did you get any money?
That's good.
Let's talk his, because he's all about money. Are you getting any money? Well, what?
I can get money for this?
Yeah. There's a girl I saw on TV last night, and not to get off topic, but she gets so much money on YouTube, and she does funny, stupid dancing, or she is a dancer or something and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
She's now one of the #1 top YouTube people, and she's going to be a movie actress now. All of a sudden, it's like, see, when you get creative in your life of what your passions and your purposes are as an individual, you can do anything.
Yes.
And
isn't that something,
if you're 7
Chris?
years old, you can do anything. I'm telling you.
It doesn't matter. What that little boy, Ryan,
Yes.
what is it? Ryan's World something. My daughter loves to watch him, and I'm sitting here like, this young man has made more in his 6-7 years on this earth
Yeah.
than many will make in their
For more
lifetime.
tips to get that creative.
Okay?
Yeah.
Listen, take what you love, be creative, take your passions, and the sky is the limit. I'm like, the money will come. You just focus, persevere, and get this education. Get the education.
Well, the thing is it's the difference. It's so competitive. We didn't talk about the competitiveness of education right now, because back in the day, if you dropped out of high school, well, in some states you can drop out of high school at 16. And this is why I have to boast Tennessee. Most people think that they're backwood hicks. You can't quit school until you're 18.
Okay.
You cannot, because they have a truancy program. Your parents can go to jail. They'll have to pay for you to go to classes, $300. Who has the money to do that? So then finally, the parents are like, you're going to school today. If I have to drag you, you're going to school.
Let's go.
I'm going to drive you. I'm not going to rely on a bus to take you.
Okay, I'm going to make sure I will watch you walk through that door.
And so the fact is you can't quit high school at 16 in Tennessee. So that takes that option away. Yeah. And I think if many other states had that in their understanding of education, the kids don't have an option to drop out of school. You know what? You can get a GED at 18. Up until 18, you're going to go to school. You're going to participate. You're going to, because when you give kids so many options, they don't know what to do. It's threatening.
They're kids.
Yes.
They don't know.
Yeah.
I have a 5-year-old. If I give her the option to stay up late and eat whatever she wants to, she'll be sick every morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. But this helps kids to understand that somebody cares enough for you that you can't quit school. We're going to bring you to school. I have
Yeah.
to preach on my principle, because we had some kids that moved their parents for whatever reason, and one kid was 3 months from graduating.
Oh,
3
wow.
months from graduating, and he wants to drop out of school.
Oh, man.
Yes, because
So
he didn't have a
close.
way to go back and forth. So he facilitated the work coach that goes and takes kids to their jobs to go pick this kid up in the morning and bring
Mhm.
him to school and then take him home in the afternoon, so that he
That's
had the
awesome.
ability to complete high school. And I told him to his face, I thanked him for all the opportunities that I had with him. But I told him, I said, I have to praise you because most principals wouldn't do that. That's a rare breed,
Yeah.
especially in the bigger cities. A lot of them can't. So it would be fruitless for them to even try,
Hmm.
because kids are in other cities. For your school, you can't go outside of your city. You have parameters put against you, and it hurts, because how do you get these kids that live in other cities that is now, um, what is it? When do they call that, Brittany? I'm having a brain issue here. Zone
The I was gonna
for
say, yeah,
your
the zone.
school,
Hmm.
but they're in
The
a
school
different
zone.
city.
Right.
So you tie the hands of the principals or the administrators or people to be able to go and use the vocational rehab or dual enrollment to be able to get them to do that. I wish they'd had dual enrollment. I'd have been done with school by the 10th grade.
Listen, me too. I'm telling you seriously, I'm like, you get to get these college classes done for free or very little money.
It's
Do
free
it.
here. It's free here. It's
I'm
free.
like, do it.
Or you pay for the next class. You don't get the credits like you would in college, but that's what they've done here. So anyway, so like I said, my principal will send somebody out to your house. He will come to your house
Mm.
and, hey, why aren't you in school?
Reminds me of Sean Perry, but yeah, you, I, I like to say you can either make an excuse to do something or
Mm-hmm.
make an excuse not to do something. So
Mm-hmm.
which one are you going to do?
Right.
You can make an excuse to say I just can't learn, I'm not good at this, or you can make the excuse to learn and say, you know what? If Miss Brittany can do it, if all these other people can do it, then I can do it. I've
Yes.
got what it takes. I know I have what it takes. So let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm. I
You know,
agree. Wholeheartedly.
if
Yes.
these babies can make it through what they've had to endure
Yes.
in their short lives,
Yes.
then my goodness, yes, they can learn math. Yes,
Yes.
they can learn reading. They've done the hard stuff. They've
Mm-hmm.
done the impossible already. And I'm like, and this is what they need, somebody to show them this. I'm like,
Yes.
honey, you have done things that adults wouldn't dare imagine doing. You've
Or
carried,
being put in positions that compromise you.
yeah. And it's like,
And
listen,
now our children are being targeted. I
mm,
mean, out and out targeted. So I absolutely, and I try to let everybody know that, think about this, that no matter what you've been through and you're still on this planet and you're still breathing, you're 100% at surviving.
yes,
So
I
why
like that, Chris.
survive if you can get an education and thrive and become what you dream of, that basketball player? Understand that there's basketball players and baseball players and football players that are now doctors and lawyers because that's what their degree was in. They just finished their degree, postponed the career, and did their
Hmm.
passion and purpose. And then
Yeah,
when they hit those days, one of the kids from my high school, his name's McGlover. He is an NFL football player. He went to the Super Bowl as a player with the Kansas City Chiefs.
that's awesome.
So he didn't get caught up in the drama. He didn't get caught up in the
Hmm.
hustle. He stayed focused on his education, went to the University of Miami, was on their football team, and got recruited from there to New York. And he played on the New York Jets. And I mean, he was a great football player. I have
Hmm.
a young lady that I know, and you might know her name. Her name is Maya Presley.
Okay.
And she went to my high school, the high school I was at. She was just in the last Summer Olympics and track and field in the pole vault, or where you jump over the pole, where you run,
Hmm.
have the pole thing. She got taken
Yes.
out in the 5th round, but she went to the Summer Olympics. She had that dream. So the thing is it just takes one person. It could be a
Yes.
minister, it could be a teacher, it could be a neighbor, it could be a friend. There's a kid that I know, and I know him well. He's an amazing individual. And he went to my high school, had trouble, ended up going to college, and he's now become a community ambassador for kids. And he's looking for different ways to pull different, resources in, and doing a 501c and helping these kids out in these ghetto areas that they get very little to no resources.
Hmm.
And I still have kids call me today. Hey, Bergie, do you think I could go and teach at a school? I finished my degree, but something happened when I was a kid, and I was like, "Were you arrested?" Yeah. Was it a felony? No. I said, "You can be a teacher."
Mm.
Because somebody gave her a knife in middle school to hold, and then turn around and told that she brought a knife to school and got expelled. She trusting her friends.
I
And
know.
so, but she turned her life around. She really, really did. She had no other issues. And the rest of the time in middle school or high school, went to college. I said, listen, people understand kids make bad decisions.
Yeah.
People understand. They're not going to hold it against you. She applied and got the job. And she's been
That's
as
awesome.
a teacher, but she knows the life. She knows the circumstances. She's moved up from it. And that's the kind of teacher I want helping my
Yes.
kids, because they know the steps, they know the processes, but sometimes they just need to be able to have that person even today. And I haven't been at that school since 2011. And they're still calling me, say, hey, what can I do here? Do you remember this guy? I'm trying to do this, and this guy did it. Do you have his number? I'll call him, give me your number, and he can hook up with you, to this day. And I don't mind doing that, because it's going that extra step, because the kid knew he could trust me when we were face to face,
Hmm.
when we're not.
Yeah.
And the follow through is key.
Yes. If you say you're going to do something,
Do
you
it.
got to do it.
Yeah. So one more
And
time, Brittany. How do people get a hold of you?
yes, you can connect with me on my personal site,
Hold on,
brit360.com. And as you go there, you'll be able to connect with me on all of our social medias. We have resources for you parents, resources for your students. And I would love to get on a call with you and just talk more about how we can partner in meeting your needs, meeting your children's needs, and giving them the learning support that they deserve, so they can reach their full potential. Let's do this.
Agree.
Yes.
I love you, Brittany. I love you. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm your biggest
Oh,
cheerleader.
Chris, I love you
I
too. Thank you
I want
so much
you to.
for this opportunity.
Well, it's going to be on. I'm creating a YouTube page. I'm going to be airing it on podcasts, and then I'm also going to create a Facebook page. And you'll have the video to be able to say you are now a public speaker. You've been interviewed, and you'll have this, and it's going
Awesome.
to go out to my tribe of over 25,000. So I'm hoping that
Yay.
this is going to be, and they're from all over the country, some even outside of the country. So you never know what people can do or reach out to you for. So many blessings, much love. I love you, Brittany.
Thank you,
Just
Chris. I
stand
love you
by.
too.
Let me finish up with the video, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
It takes a special kind of individual to dream their thoughts and ideas and turn them into reality. Brittany has stepped past any obstacles. She stayed the course and had the courage to follow through to the end. Yes, in my opinion, Brittany, you've championed yourself. Now we know who you've become. Thank you for sharing your ideas, your thoughts, your dreams with us, and the love for children. I honestly love that. Everybody, again, if you want to get a hold of Brittany, it's Brittany, BRITT 360.com. Check her out. She's amazing.